Well, alarming headlines always cause interest, and urinary incontinence is more common than HIV and AIDS. And one person to better explain this to us is Professor Haffejee. Good day, Professor. Welcome to East Rand Stereo.
Thank you for having me. Good day to you too.
Professor, briefly tell us, what is urinary incontinence?
Urinary incontinence is the involuntary loss of urine, and it occurs under a number of circumstances.
It occurs under a number of circumstances. What would you say these circumstances are, and what are the common causes for it, and is it preventable?
Well, there are a few reasons why there may be the involuntary loss of urine. The first cause is something called the overactive bladder. And basically what women and men suffer, and it's a consequence of an increase in aging of the urinary system. And basically what happens is patients have difficulty postponing urination. So they have a strong sense of urgency. In other words, they feel they have to go, and when they have to go, they leave everything and go to the toilet. And they also have a sense of frequency, so they go more frequently to the toilet 8 or more times in a day. They may also wake up at night, and we call that nocturia, so they get up from their sleep to go to toilet. And so basically what happens is they tend to map their lives around the toilet. So typically, the typical key in the door situation, you put your key in the door and you have to run to the toilet. You go to a dinner party and you hear them pouring water or something and you have to run. You go to the shopping center, and the first thing you do is, as you leave, you empty your bladder, and as you arrive at the shopping center, you empty your bladder before you go to the sales. So basically what you do is you go when your bladder tells you to go rather than when you want to go. And that's called basically the overactive bladder. At its worst form, obviously, you have the incontinence, where you have the sense of urgency and you're unable to postpone urination, so you actually have an accident in your underpants, basically. So that's urge incontinence. The other form of incontinence is something called stress incontinence, and this typically affects women, as they go through their childbearing years and beyond. And basically, through exercise, coughing, laughing, or any increase in abdominal pressure, it results in the leakage of urine, and that is called stress incontinence. We have another form of incontinence which we sometimes see, which is not that common, fortunately, and this occurs as a consequence of injuries during childbirth, prolonged labor, where unfortunately you may have a hole or communication between the bladder and the vagina, and the woman leaks urine all the time. Thankfully, that's not that common, and very rarely as a complication of hysterectomy would you have this communication. This obviously has to be surgically fixed. So in broad terms, those are the three most common causes of urinary incontinence.
And Prof, I can imagine is not something that you talk about more openly. Is there a manner in which this can be corrected, and where can we get more information?
Well, the first thing is that we have the Continence Association of South Africa, and they certainly have a helpline which is available to anyone, and the number there is 011 475 9700. They also have a number of manufacturers or pharmaceuticals that basically have product information on a product that may be used to manage incontinence, and the one that springs to mind is possibly the TENA website, www.tena.co.za.
Well, very interesting. Prof Haffejee, thank you so much for sharing your insight with us, and also where we can seek further assistance.
Thank you very much, ma'am.